Let's go to Washington now to speak to Lieutenant Colonel Daniel Davis, a senior fellow at the foreign policy think tank Defense Priorities. Thank you so much for joining us. How significant is the damage to the flagship carrier?
Well, it has to be very serious that they evacuated all the crew members. There's a crew contingent of about 500 on one of those kinds of missile cruisers. So it had to be something very, very serious. And that's not something you do very simply. That had to have taken some time. And of course, this is the second ship that's been damaged in the war. There was also a Russian landing ship in the port city of Berdyansk that we know for sure was destroyed by the Ukrainians. We still don't know whether this one was actually destroyed by the Ukrainians or whether it was just another bad accident in the Russian Navy. But in any case, this is a really black eye on them because it was the flagship, not just a ship.
That's right, because if you believe one side of the story, a fire caused the ammunition stockpiles to explode and the 500 crew were evacuated. Do those things sound likely to you?
It's entirely possible. There's actually had a lot of problems with this over the years. The Russian Navy has, and they have a bad track record for these kinds of things. They're not as rare as you might think. But the fact that this comes here in the Black Sea, which is, those ships have been there for quite some time now, even before the actual war kicked off, and for it to just be sitting out there, it's a really bad thing for the Russian Navy and a boost. No matter what happened, it's a boost for the Ukrainian side.
That's right, because the other side of the story is that the Ukrainian missiles caused that ammunition stockpile to explode. And in fact, those 500 plus crew were struggling to be rescued. Either way, as you say, the cause doesn't really matter, does it? Because either side can claim that their side of the story, and that can affect morale, can't it, elsewhere on the battlefield?
Right. That's exactly right. And you can be sure that nobody in Ukraine is going to question the story and wonder if the ship really just burned up on its own. They will absolutely view this as a very positive development. Of course, the real question is that probably they're not going to be asking is if the Ukraine shore batteries actually took this out with their shore battery missiles. You would wonder why they waited this long and why aren't they firing more, because there's a number of ships out there. But right now, no one really cares about that. They just care that something good for the Ukraine side happened and another black eye for the Russians.
Indeed. And in the east of the country, they're preparing for the big battle. How would news of this go down there and affect combat troops?
I honestly don't think that's going to have much of an effect there. It's that has its own dynamics that are involved. And it is a very serious thing. I mean, anything that can even a little bit help the morale of the Ukrainian defenders is a positive thing. But that battle is going to be determined on the fundamentals, the military fundamentals of the two opposing forces, and I don't think it's going to have much of an effect on that.
Okay, retired Lieutenant Colonel Daniel Davis, thank you so much for sharing your analysis with us here on BBC News.
Thanks for having me.